Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zenhub. We are buzzing as always. Finally in October. Well, maybe not October, more looking like Poortober. Hopefully the geopolitical tension and war in the Middle East will stop. And obviously we don't want that for crypto prices, just for world peace. But folks, a sort of a rough start for the month. Hopefully we can overcome this. Time for some positive news. Guys, I've been trying to get this lad on the pod for a hot minute. One of my favorite companies in the space. You guys know I love sports. And this company is doing it all. NFTs, you name it. And of course, the Flow blockchain, incredible L1. Folks, we have Roham, the one and only Roham Gharegozlou on the show today, founder and CEO of Dapper Labs and board member of the Flow Foundation. He founded Axiom Zen in 2012, developed multiple award-winning products and companies, including Routific and Zenhub. And during this time, his team pretty much coined and created the term NFTs with the ERC 721 CryptoKitties, one of the first blockchain games to gain widespread popularity. Under his leadership, Dapper Labs also developed NBA Top Shot, NFL ALLDAY, and Disney Pinnacle. They have done it all. Flow is also now the home for consumer Web3 with major brands like Disney, Mattel, and Ticketmaster / LiveNation. Ever heard of them? With over 45 million user accounts on the network. Absolute bananas. Super pumped to get into this. Roham, welcome to the show, my friend. Super pumped to have you on. How you doing this lovely afternoon?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me.
Super pumped to have you on. It's been a hot minute here. Now that we got you on, let's just set the stage. You and the team, so many incredible stories. You guys have built so much. I'd love if you could start with CryptoKitties. Maybe just give us that whole story. I know you guys have some incredible stuff still with that popping off, I think today, maybe tomorrow. And by the time this episode airs, this will be a week from now. But if you could start with the story from CryptoKitties and literally developing NFTs, I think that'd be a great place to set the table for today's episode.
Yeah, it was pretty much my favorite story to tell. So I'm excited to get into it. As you said, my last company, Axiom Zen, we did a lot of experimentation. We did a lot of exploration, and we started actually playing around with Bitcoin back in 2014. And so we're very excited to see, Ethereum, which was this, the promise of a decentralized computer. You could build any application on top of it. But we were a little disappointed that all the applications at that time, at the time there was a few thousand digital assets on top of Ethereum. But they were all basically cryptocurrencies. They were all tokens that were mostly just speculative instruments that people bought in those ICOs, and then they hoped they would go up in price, et cetera. And we kind of looked at the technology and we said, well, this concept of true ownership, the concept of having your own, being in control of your own assets, your own identity, your own provenance, and then being able for developers to build tools like wallets, like exchanges, on top of that, without asking anybody's permission, that seems like a much bigger idea than just currency. And so we started working towards CryptoKitties with this thesis that, hey, crypto is much bigger than currency. And if you think about sort of life, most things in your life are non-fungible. Your money is fungible. It doesn't matter which dollar bill you have. It just matters how many dollars you have. But most things in your life, whether that's your friends, whether that's your own data, whether that's your home, your car, but also your in-game assets. $100 billion a year is spent on digital assets inside games, and people value their digital identities as much, if not more, than their physical identities. All of those are non-fungible, and so there was no way to represent non-fungible things on a crypto network like Ethereum, and so we created this concept of a non-fungible token. We created the first standard, which was ERC 721. Published it in September of 2017, but not that many people cared until we launched something cool on top of it. And so CryptoKitties was sort of the first game that was trying to use those same concepts, but make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it something that normal people could just jump in and use. We launched CryptoKitties in November 28th, and so between that period, it was almost this no one really knew what to do with the standard, but when the product launched, within days, it sort of took over Ethereum. We're about 30% of all of gas on the network, which represents all of the computing power of the network, was going towards breeding kitties. It was we were getting death threats from people trying to do ICOs. It was a good time. But even back then, we realized, wow, this technology is so promising, but it's so hard to use. Most people were hitting our site not being able to figure out how to get their own wallet, how to pay for gas, how to get Ethereum in the first place. And then some of those problems are a lot easier. And then of course it was scalability. So very quickly, breeding a single cat went from cents or fractions of a cent to hundreds of dollars. And that kind of broke a lot of things about the game economy and just convinced us that we got to build, the next generation network. It's what led to Flow. It's what led to products like NBA Top Shot. But the most exciting thing about CryptoKitties is that we just launched the new version of CryptoKitties, the Telegram game, that is basically going to act as the first step towards wider CryptoKitties universe, where people will be able to bring cats from the original CryptoKitties, but also because it's built on Flow, access a lot more functionality, a lot more capabilities at a much lower cost. So that's my short spiel about CryptoKitties.
I love it. It's just so cool. Roham, before we get into Flow, which obviously, I mean, Dapper and Flow are very intertwined, but was there a specific sort of piece of digital IP, digital identity? Like, was there an aha moment or a tipping point or a block that fell that really gave you guys the idea for NFTs and non-fungible tokens and the importance of digital IP and all that cool stuff? Or was it sort of an ongoing thesis? Because like I like to role play these things in my heads, and now I finally have a chance to talk to you. I've always thought, like, what the heck was Ro and the team thinking for them to be so early on this?
Well, the original inspiration for a non-fungible standard actually came from real estate, where we realized, in order to represent kind of plots of land on, we're thinking through, hey, what would different applications for a decentralized computer even be? And obviously one of them was a sort of land registry for countries that don't have a trustworthy or trusted sort of centralized, government-backed registry like MLS or others. And so in order to represent even plots of land on chain, it can't be every single plot of land is its own cryptocurrency. That would make no sense. And it doesn't make sense to have one cryptocurrency where all the pieces of the land are just individual tokens. That doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of what led to the NFT standard in the first place. But we've known for a long time, if you've studied like past platform shifts like mobile, social, even the original desktop computing and also Web 1.0, everything always starts with sort of the easier, more disconnect, like in a lot of ways, entertainment, whether that's gaming, whether that's in some cases adult content, whether in some cases gambling. It's those kinds of industries actually lead adoption for consumers because they lead experimentation for developers. The first products on the internet were just these like very simple. The first complex web applications on the internet were poker sites back in 2002, 2003, before Facebook and other things. These were, hundreds of thousands of people were joining and playing complex games together with real money way before, any of this stuff was sort of standardized and facilitated. So we knew that we can't just like go to a government and negotiate a, land registry kind of deal. And here we are, 6-7 years later, and it's still not the case. Whereas we could build a cat game or a digital land game or something that is in a virtual only context that we don't have to ask anybody's permission. And that's kind of what, so we knew we wanted to play around in gaming and we had been playing around with a lot of different we even had the original designer of CryptoKitties, who's now back to build the new CryptoKitties, had built a like Pokemon Go style bird catching game right before CryptoKitties. So we were always like playing around this concept of like collecting. Collecting is very inherent in a lot of it's inherent in almost any mobile game, but also if you think about it, from the dawn of human civilizations, people walking on the beach collecting seashells, and then those seashells becoming currency, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of those like dots were sort of like percolating. I wouldn't say it was a straight line from, hey, let's do something to CryptoKitties. We went in a lot of different directions. And even CryptoKitties, we tested very deliberately. In fact, in your hometown in Waterloo, or you're in Toronto, Waterloo's close by. But that was the first Ethereum event, was where we launched the playtest.
So cool. Ro, a bit of a side note. I know we're going off the rails here. Well, I'm going off the rails here a little, but could you imagine if the government of Canada somehow adapted crypto and was pro crypto, like with all the builders we had and with how much Web3 shit was built in Waterloo and Toronto and Vancouver. Like, I know it's a pipe dream, and with how our country works, it would never happen. But do you ever think about that and be like, man, what if we said yes to this instead of no? Like, we would have such a leg up.
But that's the case in everything, Matt. Canadians are leaders of a lot of different industries, but Canada is not necessarily a leader in sort of policy, and we tend to sort of follow our large neighbor. And I understand sort of the geopolitical reasons for it, but whether in crypto or other things, at the end of the day, progress always moves forward. So there's no point fighting it. We just have to take the chance to shape its impact. And I think, I think us Canadians are we're all nice people, and we're all trying to make the world a slightly better place than we met it. So, we just need to get out there and do stuff.
100%. It pisses me off, the amount of incredible companies that have been created here and moved to the States, the incredible founders, builders, engineers that all get poached to other countries in the world, more specifically our neighbors to the south. But I I think about that, and I would never run for politics. I'd get canceled, in T-1 day. I'd also would hate that. But if I ever did and changed my mind, that is something I would work on. Back to Web3 and back to Flow and, of course, Dapper. NFTs. We got to jump into NFTs as a whole. I always get asked from sort of some Web2 normie friends that I onboarded into NFTs back in 2021, Matt, are NFTs dead? What's going on? And I always give them the same thing. No, they're not dead. Yes, they're still very useful. However, the euphoria and the shit show that we experienced back in 2021, where you bought any random JPEG and made 10x, those days are gone. And that was because, again, we were locked in our rooms and it was COVID and there was nothing better to do. Present day, we have incredible NFTs and NFT companies like Dapper. And again, your partnerships, you got the NFL, you got the NBA, you guys have Ticketmaster, you have LiveNation. These are things that move the needle, real world applications. Ro, I'd love to throw the ball over to your court here. What's sort of the current state of NFTs? And maybe a couple of years down the road, what do you think the future of NFTs looks like?
Well, I don't think we've actually had real mainstream NFT mania yet. If you remember 2020, 2021, yes, it's true. NFTs were all in the press. I was on CNBC, ESPN, but it was so difficult to get an NFT. And most of the conversation, most of my friends didn't have anything until, the bear market. But, there were Bored Apes, hundreds of thousands of dollars, Top Shots, very expensive, very hard to get it. Even Top Shot, the cheapest Top Shots were
hundreds of dollars. Yeah,
exactly. So this idea of, and you could line up for a pack, but there's 300,000 people, ahead of you. And there's no mobile app. It was web only. And so I think that, crypto always moves in these very aggressive cycles where it's way more volatility, both up and down, than anyone sort of can expect. Humans have a hard time with exponential numbers. But if you sort of think brass tacks, we had, people like, MoonPay and Ivan, and MoonPay was hand-holding celebrities to buy their first Bored Apes because it was so difficult to kind of go through that process. Whereas now, I think that the bones are in place for it to be much more straightforward. There's a lot more content out there. Part of that means that, hey, maybe there's a lot more places for money to flow into, but also there's a lot more to do in certain of these ecosystems. Obviously, a lot of folks have been, moved on to other industries, et cetera. But this concept of NFTs being dead, I remember in 2019, before we launched Top Shot, and even right around Top Shot, even my closest friends were asking me, hey, are you still working on that NFT thing? And it's sort of like, reminiscent of, .com in terms of very hot. And then in 2002, we had consumer VC funds shutting their doors because there was no future for consumer internet, 2 years before Facebook launched. So this kind of volatility is amplified in crypto. I think the last cycle was very much driven by crypto dollars and the growth in Bitcoin, Ethereum, washing back into NFTs. That tends to happen as the last leg of a traditional crypto bull market. And I'm not a trader, I'm a builder. And so I try to, see past the peaks and valleys, but they happen. And so what I'm focused on is how do we make this whole thing make sense to the next generation of people that come in? Not just NFTs, by the way, but also you're seeing meme tokens, you're seeing games where people are farming real dollars. And maybe, to an American, it's not enough dollars to make it worth it, but it's onboarding millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions of people in different countries into sort of their first crypto wallet, their first sort of crypto opportunity, their first exposure to a peer-to-peer network where there's no middleman in the middle and you're kind of providing services and getting paid for it. And so I think this cycle, hopefully, you'll see a lot more people onboarded, hopefully in a safer environment. And talking about flow, that's been kind of the mission from the very beginning. We know the user experience needs to be better, but the builders and sort of the culture of products that we build need to also, lean into what makes the technology special. How do we, give value back to the people that are creating it rather than only focusing on kind of, speculative games that kind of burn people on the way down in a sense. And there's just inherent speculation. It's hard. It's impossible to stop it.
Yeah.
But, I think most people haven't yet had their opportunity to participate in, an open economy. And it's certainly better than, the $100 billion a year that's spent in mobile games and digital, and sort of these closed digital environments where, you're basically just burning money into a black hole.
Well said. Very well said there. Ro, let's take a quick left turn. You just introed Flow. I mean, we spoke about Flow a couple times, but just sort of set the table for us. Give us a quick intro on Flow. Tell us a little bit about it. Don't need to get too techie, but just for the listeners who might not be as aware of Flow versus Dapper. I feel like Dapper is very front of mind with a lot of people as the many partnerships and consumer-facing products that you guys have. Whereas blockchains themselves, it's more like a lot of really amazing things are built on it, but I only care about price. At least I'm generalizing here, but I'm just trying to put my feet in the shoes of most Web3 folks here. Talk about how Flow is so easy for developers. It's one of the most consumer-facing and consumer-friendly blockchains possible. Give us the elevator pitch on Flow, and then we'll jump into some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So flow.com is where you can learn more about it. It's the blockchain that all of Dapper's products run on, whether it's the new CryptoKitties or NFL, NBA, Disney. But it's very separate from Dapper Labs. So Dapper created it back in 2020. We created it because of NBA Top Shot. We evaluated every single option out there, talked to a lot of the current generation of builders, and just realized most people were still looking at blockchains as token moving machines. How to create a token, move a token around, very DeFi finance sort of centric. Whereas we always believe this technology is for anybody to be able to use, including the DeFi components of it. We want to democratize access to the opportunities here. And so we started working on Flow in 2019, launched it in 2020. It's sort of first version of it. So it's been, the teams are totally independent. The entities are two separate entities. There's a Flow Foundation, it's a nonprofit that operates pieces of the network. And Dapper Labs isn't even the biggest builder on the network today. We've got multiple Fortune 500 companies like Mattel, who's brought Barbie in, and Hot Wheels to Flow.
Sheesh.
And then we've got Ticketmaster, Ticketmaster is actually one of the biggest Web3 projects that's not a cryptocurrency exchange. They've onboarded 14 million users to claim Ticketmaster NFTs that are basically, ticket stubs from the concerts they go to or the sports games they go to. And over 71 million in total have been claimed, all on Flow, and it's super fast, super easy, and super safe. Nobody has to worry about getting hacked or anything like that. But the coolest thing about Flow as of 2 weeks ago is it's now fully EVM equivalent, which means everything that works on Ethereum will work out of the box on Flow. Because that's made it really easy for mainstream, like smaller and more nimble developers who are largely in the Ethereum ecosystem to move over, people who don't have the resources of a Fortune 500 company or a startup like Dapper. And so in the last 2 weeks, we've seen almost as many contracts deployed as in the entire 2-3 years before that. So it's really picked up in terms of the momentum on the network. And I'm pretty excited about it because it means more developers building more things for our products too. So people that have an NBA Top Shot, that's, let's say a $10,000 digital trading card, they can take it to someone else's product and be able to collateralize it, take a loan out, spend that loan, either participating in DeFi or on more NFTs or whatever it might be. They might be able to play different kinds of games against their friends, with their friends, and they might be able to just participate in almost an app store on top of these assets that cool. is starting to emerge. So we're just really excited about it. And it kind of flips the model from, hey, you go to an app, you buy stuff in the app, and all the stuff stays inside the app, to you go to an app, you buy stuff, but then you can take that stuff anywhere, and it might give you status or access or even different things you might be able to do, gameplay or utility, in different products and services. So we're trying to really make it easy to build on top of Dapper products. And a large ways, that's the kind of value of crypto and blockchain.
Yep.
What attracted to us in the first place as developers.
I love that. Couple things. First and foremost, shout out to the team for being one of the early believers in creating an L1. I feel like back when you guys launched Flow, creating an L1 wasn't the sort of cool and sexy and smart thing to do like it is present day, where you got, 800 L1s popping off every single day. I feel like that was sort of the beginning of let's start the L2. And we've sort of seen that, creating an L1 with EVM compatibility, which we'll get into, of course, with the Crescendo upgrade is incredible. So shout out, that's number one. Number two, just this is a half-baked idea from your host here. I love your guys' partnership with Ticketmaster. I'm a concert guy, love going to sporting events, more sporting events than concerts. Most of them come from Ticketmaster, LiveNation, you name it, and it shows up on your wallet. I would love if you guys could somehow get Apple, and I'm an iPhone guy, but I would love if you guys could somehow get Apple to create some sick NFTs that you could see in the wallet, because it's usually just sort of the classic ticket, I don't know if that's something that could be done. I know Apple's sort of incredibly hard, not sort of, they are just a nuisance and it's nightmare fuel to get involved with them in any capacity. But I think that'd be cool as hell. I know I have a lot of friends too, Ro, who are always sort of looking at their wallet to see flights I went on, concerts I went to, sporting events I went to. Am I completely baked there, or could we work something out?
No, well, look, I got to say Apple's a close partner. We've got multiple NFT apps on the App Store. So I think those guys are brilliant. And you've given me a couple of ideas. So let me look into it. I'll let you know if it goes anywhere.
Love it.
I think we just have to be creative to sort of like figure out how to jam NFTs in there. But we've got a pretty creative team. So let me take it back.
That'd be cool. And last but not least, number three, so you gave me the perfect layup, the perfect segue into this, the Crescendo upgrade, which I believe is sort of the piece of the pie that allows you guys to achieve EVM equivalence. I don't want to get too techie, and I know it's sort of hard to explain without getting too techie, but I'd love if you could take a deep dive or a partial dive into that for our listeners and explain the importance of just sort of the EVM compatibility and equivalence with the Crescendo upgrade, and maybe tie in any other cool stuff that the Crescendo upgrade also has as well.
Yeah, so Crescendo is basically the name of the biggest network upgrade since we launched Flow years ago. So that team has been working on it for a very long time now. It's kind of upgrades several pieces of the network from the core architecture to the programming language, and makes it considerably faster. I think 30-40% faster block times. So we have sub-second block times, really good throughput, really low cost. And the piece of EVM equivalence is basically just eliminates the barrier to entry. So you have a lot more cross-chain infrastructure, all the tooling that works on Ethereum, works on Flow. And for us, this is kind of like almost backwards compatibility, because we built Flow to be such a future-facing network that we reinvented the wheel in a necessary way, I think, from a lot of perspectives. And so that created the kinds of user experiences like NBA Top Shot, like the Ticketmaster product, where you have tens of millions of normal consumers able to come in and actually engage and transact in billions of dollars worth of transactions in the case of NBA Top Shot, in large part with like credit cards rather than cryptocurrency. So all of those sort of the fundamental pieces we built for scalability, user experience, et cetera, still exist. But now for any developer, it's so much easier to get started. Within a day, you can launch a EVM product. And then everything that you do on Flow is basically backwards compatible with all the tooling that your customers might be using, like MetaMask and OpenSea or whatever it is. So the idea is you can kind of create a mainstream focused product that to a new user is kind of really easy onboarding, really smooth user experience, just like a Web2 product. But to a user that already has MetaMask and all this stuff, they can your assets can still go inside those wallets. If you do a little bit of work, you can knock custodial wallet and a custodial kind of experience can exist side by side. And Flow is basically trying to make all of that easy for developers, so they don't have to worry about the infrastructure piece and can just focus on building their application. I think, this idea of every developer having to build their own chain really limits the creativity, because you end up focusing too much on the piping and not enough on the user experience. Dapper now doesn't touch any kind of protocol pieces at all. We focus only on the user experience, and that's kind of freed us up to do much more creative and interesting things, because all of the heavy lifting of the protocol is handled by the Flow Foundation team. And so a lot of the newer folks jumping into that L1, L2 game are maybe they're doing it to like launch a token, et cetera. but it's a lot more work than
Oh,
it seems at the surface.
it's not plug and play like an L2. It's not just grab some code, fork it, fire away, you're dancing and romancing. Like this is, it's a year of
Right.
test net, then mainnet, then the big lot. Like it isn't. I've been fortunate enough to work with some L1 teams who've launched over the last year, and it's an absolute shit show. And I'm not a tech guy, Ro. You're a tech guy. So like for a non-tech guy like me, I'm just sort of, I'm just sort of sitting on the sidelines. Hey guys, here when you need me. I can't do any of that tech stuff, but it is absolutely bananas. I want to stick on Flow and Dapper, and we are getting very tight for time here, so we will have to wrap up soon. But any news, milestones, really cool stuff you guys are launching over the next couple days, weeks, months. Obviously, by the time this episode airs, everyone will have already seen CryptoKitties and the new Play to Egg Drop game, which is incredible. But any other cool stuff popping off, Ro?
Yeah, I mean, we're firing all cylinders. So the NFL season just kicked off, and I think we've got the best rookie class in the NFL for many years now, maybe of all time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think people are showing up for it. We've got 100,000 orders placed in the last round of rookie packs. And so it's a great time to jump into NFL product. We've got a big set of improvements coming in the next few months. And now you have a whole game you can play with your moments. And there's also third-party games like Moment Ranks. So it's an exciting time to jump in for NFL. We just wrapped the WNBA season, our best WNBA season ever. Caitlin Clark is absolutely popping off in the product, just like she's popping off on the court.
Shout out Caitlin. Yep.
That's right. And there were all of the pack drops have sold out across NBA, NFL, and WNBA. But WNBA had 16 times more orders placed than packs available. So demand versus supply is just crazy. So that's really cool. I was very happy for the W in general. And the NBA season is coming up next. So in 12 days, or I guess closer when this episode airs, it'll be a great time to jump into NBA Top Shot. We've got the daily fantasy style game that's ongoing and really exciting.
I love that.
Work fans. And then CryptoKitties is the newest OG thing. So it's on Telegram. You get access to CryptoKitties.com. A lot more coming from that team, but it's a good place to get started.
So cool. Give me some sports predictions here. No price predictions on the pod. Definitely a sports prediction pod. Give me NFL, NBA, NHL. Who do you got winning it for those three?
Well, I'm just excited for a good season across the board. Mahomes is my guy, so we're always rooting for the Chiefs. but on the NBA side, I just want to have a good show.
You don't got anyone? I know you. You are very affiliated, so maybe you can't pick favorites. But come on, give us someone. Who do you got winning the ship? Is it going to be a repeat this year?
We'll see. I mean, look, like the Bucks are interesting. The Celtics are always. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with foreseeable future. But you've got some teams
Knicks
making moves.
Yeah.
Who knows what the Knicks are going to be able to do? Can they turn it around? Can the father-son duo with the Lakers pull something interesting off? There's a lot of wild cards. And now, of course, like Steph Curry, you saw what he did over the summer. Can you bring that fire and move the ball forward? Who knows? I think it's just going to be an awesome season.
I love it. Ro, really appreciate the time. Incredible episode. Before we let you go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally, of course, and Dapper and Flow online and on socials?
Yeah, absolutely. Flow is flow.com, flow_blockchain on X. I'm Roham, ROHAM on X. And
how did you, Dapper, sorry, got to interrupt you. How did you snag that handle?
I mean, I've been around for a while, man. I've got some gray hairs and all that stuff. So
how did you snag that handle? That is wild. First name.
I've been around. Well, I also have a very rare first name, so it makes it easy for email addresses and everything. And then Dapper Labs on X, but also just check out CryptoKitties and NFL ALLDAY, NBA Top Shot, Disney Pinnacle. We've got a lot of products, and each of them is got its own voice. And I didn't even mention Michaela, who's the largest virtual influencer ever, the original OG of that space. And I don't have anything specific to announce there quite yet, but it's sort of watch the space kind of situation.
Amazing. I know we're going off the rails again, but the domains you guys have, flow.com too. Can you tell me how much that costs? I love a juicy domain price. That's a sick domain too.
I cannot tell you, but I bought it myself.
It was pretty penny, 6 figs, 7 figs, 6 figs, maybe 7.
It was worth it.
Love it. Ro, really appreciate your time, mate. Big fan of you and the team. Love what you guys do, especially bridging the gap. And most importantly of all, onboarding the masses to crypto. You guys have done one of the best jobs in the space. We love you for that. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to have you on for round 2.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, everybody.
Folks, what an episode with Roham, founder and CEO of Dapper Labs and board member of Flow Foundation. Huge shout out to Ro and the team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you so much for everything, especially you, Stas. You are the man. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags. Keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Go touch some grass. Enjoy the sun while it's out. And we'll see you on the next one. Love you guys. Ciao.